This video was made possible by Slick Wraps. Visit slickwraps.com. Reunited, and it feels so good. The Nexus 5 a few years back to me is still Google's best Nexus. I feel from the form factor that allows it to be used with one hand made it something special. Although the hardware didn't age gracefully, the experience never changed. It was and is still a fast device that can handle most tasks. Fast forward to today. This is the Nexus 5X, Google's attempt to rekindle the flame that created magic for so many Nexus users. The Nexus 5X is a reality check for many people and phone manufacturers. It makes you think, do we really need to push the boundaries on how big of a screen we can shove into a phone? Or is there still a market for phones that can still fit in the palm of your hand and be one-handed friendly? This phone is pretty boring on the surface. There isn't really anything that wows me when looking at it, and it feels very light. I mean, a bit too light. I won't dare to say cheap, but it doesn't feel premium like the 6P or any other flagship that came out this year. So maybe cheap is the right word. Who knows? I guess hollow is the best term for it. It just feels empty. So I had to dress it up a bit. This is a slick wrap. This can change the way the phone looks completely. It also adds a little bit of texture too, so it's easier to hold on to. Besides the slight camera bulge on the back, the one distinctive feature is found in the fingerprint scanner, which is insanely fast. I mean, you thought the iPhone was fast? This murders the iPhone. For a few demonstrations, head over to the iPhone vs Nexus 5 in a unlocking battle. I'll send you to Super Saf's YouTube channel. He did a bang up job on the subject. There's no point in me repeating him. The phone is made from a plastic type of material, which isn't super slippery, and it just feels like a slate in your hand. Now, coming from larger phones and also phones with a curve, this is a somewhat of adjustment. And although the smaller size makes it easier, the lack of curve makes it feel a bit awkward. But after a few days, you do get readjusted again. The 5.2-inch 1080p display is very sharp. Text jumps off the screen and it's super crisp. However, the colors are a bit dull for my liking. As of late, I've been looking at some very poppy screens and something more subdued just looks flat nowadays. The speaker's on the front, which gives it an added bonus. However, it's just one speaker, which sounds pretty average. But I'm still thankful that the speaker is on the front though. At the bottom, you'll see that USB-C type port, which is now going to be the standard going forward, so I won't knock them for doing this. And I know when traveling, it's a huge hassle nowadays. Just start ordering these overpriced cables now and move on. One problem to me is that it lacks wireless charging. You know, it kind of sucks because the 6 supported it, and the 5 and the 4. So this kind of bothers me as Qi charging becoming more available, and I fit in my office house with wireless charging, and to me that's kind of a step back. Overall, to me this feels just like the Nexus 5, but 2 years later. And I've been more accustomed to these premium phones now. I guess for this price, this is what you would expect. The phone is rocking Android's latest OS, Android 6.0 Marshmallow. I'll be issuing a full review on Android 6.0 eventually, but let me tell you this, 6.0 isn't a big jump on Android as much as the version number would suggest. However, it tightens up a lot of things from Lollipop, and it feels much more stable. And it's a Nexus, so you know this thing flies. It's rocking the Agent Snapdragon 808 and 2 GB of RAM, which is plenty for some people, but if you want more power, I suggest you take a look at the Nexus 6P. Day-to-day operations, checking email, social media, light gaming, you won't notice any slowdowns at all. But once you get into some intensive gaming or crazy multitasking between heavy applications, you'll notice a few minor slowdowns. Nothing that'll make you throw your phone out the window, but this is consistent with the 808 processor, so you should know what to expect by now. Battery life is pretty average. There's nothing spectacular that you've seen with the Note series, and you can eke by a full day, or you may have to top it off at work. The camera is a 12.3 megapixel camera, and it has a larger 1.55 pixels. Now, it does not have optic image stabilization, but it does have laser autofocus. Now what I found is that the lack of OIS affects lower light photos a ton and really makes burst photos and anything else with movement not that great. However, anything stationary looks really good, and I was really impressed with this camera. It does take some solid photos. It's not Samsung quality, however it's passable in most situations. Now I think Google is really onto something with this camera. We just need better software that allows for shooting modes. Then I think we'll be onto something really awesome. I've been talking a ton about this phone and explaining some things, but is it worth it? I mean, that's the main reason you're watching this video. In this price range, you're dealing with the Moto X Pure. And being honest, that's the phone you should be looking at in this price range. The Pure is a better phone in almost all aspects. I love the Nexus, but a Pure is as close to the Nexus as you can get without branding the name. The Nexus 5 isn't a bad phone, but I feel it's a little too late. If this phone came out 2 years ago, which it kind of did already, it's a good phone. But so many phones are coming out around the same price, and this makes it almost impossible to truly compete. Heck, I'd even take the OnePlus 2 over the Nexus 5, and I'm just being honest.